Welcome to this edition of Old School, where we go back in time and look at what was happening in the world of education. Now, here we are going back to 1977, February 17th, to be exact. Check this out. Here we've got a teacher, and I know there's some of you out there who wish you could give both barrels to your administration and let the world know what's going on in your district, but you can't because you still have time left before it's time for you to retire. So you're just gonna keep your mouth shut. But if someone else were to retire and give administration both barrels, you'd be okay with that. Check this out. And not only do we have a teacher here giving administration both barrels, but this district is clearly dysfunctional. Here we go. Ex-Eureka High teacher blames problems on 5 administrators. A Eureka High School teacher who took early retirement last year has joined the ranks of those teachers speaking out against the administration of the school district. Philip Knight, a former social studies teacher at EHS who now lives in Yuba City, wrote a 3-page letter, and he delivered it to the newspaper on Wednesday that blamed recent morale problems on 5 administrators, including the superintendent, John Landis. Knight called the situation at Eureka High near tragic. The problem is like a sore that has become cancerous, he said, and after too long, nothing can cure it except major surgery. So, as we're going to read on, he took early retirement. He couldn't take any more. Knight said he had chosen early retirement from the high school because teaching was not as enjoyable for him in the past 2 years as it had been before. The retired teacher said he had visited friends in Eureka last week and learned from them about recent events at the high school. Indifference, little or no planning, and vindictiveness can only account for the nightmare that followed the start of the semester, he said. Wow, what happened, I wonder? We're about to find out. In the letter, Knight outlines course changes that several teachers, including Ellis Williamson, Bill Getz, and Jerry Bronder, had to undergo after the beginning of second semester 3 weeks ago. So we're going to see, and I know as I read this, some of you teachers, you're going to be hot as well at the change of these schedules as we're 3 weeks into the semester. But the unfortunate thing here is, as teachers, we want to be under the radar. We don't want to give admin another reason to come by our room to look at our coming and going. Ooh, you were supposed to be here at 7:15. You got here at 7:17. No, you don't want it. You want to be under the radar. But now these teachers they're on the radar. So Williamson, one of these teachers mentioned, appeared on local television last week to say he had been removed from his 5 civics classes and at first scheduled to teach only 2 periods a day. Later, Williamson told the Times Standard he was again scheduled to teach a full load of classes. The changes, he said, were made because he is considered a hard grader, too apt to fail students, and because he said the administration is trying to force him to retire. Okay, so now, Mr. Williamson, you are no longer under the radar. You are on the radar, and you're flashing red, buddy. Wow. That is that's not where you want to be. That's not where you want to be. Let's keep going and see what exactly happened, because I know what you're thinking out there. You're like, "What? You can't change his schedule after you've already given it to him?" Williamson said high school administrators did not explain to him why his schedule had been changed, but only notified him by memo. Now, I know you're getting even more upset, because that's something that you need to go to a teacher and have that face-to-face conversation and let them blow off some steam, let them express themselves. Like, we're 3 weeks into the semester and you change your schedule. And like back then, it's 1977. This isn't an email. This is a put this on your desk, and I'm gonna leave, and then you'll see it when you come to work. You don't do that. That you don't do. That's not cool. That's not the way to treat people. Bill Getz, Knight said, had been assigned to prepare for and teach 8 different courses as of February 10th. That's a lot. The administration tries to give a teacher no more than 3 different courses to prepare for and teach, Principal Jerry Schroeder has said. So now the principals are giving quotes. That can be dangerous. Knight said Getz had been assigned to teach 3 different classes in one period and 2 in another. He also said Getz had been assigned to teach a math class even though he had not studied math since high school and had not done well in the subject at the time. You're wondering what's going on here. I'm wondering as well. We're going to get an explanation of why teachers who really aren't really fit or equipped to teach a certain class, why back in the day they were allowed to teach that class. Another teacher, Jerry Bronder, has also said he has been required in the past to teach math and forestry, even though he knows little about either of them. McManus said the district had been told by the county council that if a teacher has a general secondary credential, he or she should be able to teach any subject in grades 7 through 12. All right, so we're not doing that anymore, but that's the way things were done back then. That's why we call this old school. And we're learning about the old school here. Of course, that's a hard-nosed approach, McManus said. We try to match teachers up with courses they are best in. Bronder has filed 2 separate grievances with the school district because of assignments he said went against his contract, including one to teach math and science at Winship Junior High School. Now, today that would be covered in the contract as other duties as assigned. Bronder said that during his grievance procedure, when he said he was not competent to teach these subjects, Schroeder told him competency has nothing to do with his assignment. Wow. Could you imagine a parent reading this? Like, unbelievable. Okay, so now things are going to shift. Like the way they wrote this article is a little weird because now it's kind of shifting. Knight also said, the teacher also said that Moore now you haven't been introduced to Moore, but Moore is the dean of students at this school. Moore, who next week will give up that position, a dean of students position, which didn't even mention it at all, to become a district administrator, did not have the temperament or background to handle students or teachers. Now, let's understand this. This is the teacher is saying that Moore, that's the dean of students, next week he's going to be promoted to be a district administrator, and the teachers, their observation is he didn't have the temperament or background to handle students. Wow. So again, that's the teacher saying that. So take that with a grain of salt. But I'm wondering if that's largely what teachers believe about this dean of students. So you have a lot of things going on, and to throw this on top, that's not good. All right, I feel the public must know so it can do some checking and then go to the school board and demand necessary changes, Knight said. All right, so it just goes on and on and on there. Now, let's give you some more context about this other person that was mentioned. His name is Ross Moore. So on top of the issues with this 3-page letter from this former teacher, in which he's blaming these 5 administrators, we have this. Now, look at this. This is the front page. This is the front page of this newspaper. Front page of this newspaper, and we have 2 stories about the school. Transfer of instructor said result of recent complaints. Students and teachers at Eureka High School have said the transfer of a high school administrator to the district office effective Tuesday may have been caused by teachers' recent complaints about schedule shuffles and low teacher morale. Superintendent John Landis announced Wednesday that Ross Moore, that's the Moore, EHS Dean of Students, will give up his duties at the high school next week and take over as an administrator at the district. This is insane. and it still happens to this day. If you've seen something like this happen recently, or if you have a friend who's a teacher and they've seen something like this happen, someone who is not good at their core job, like building relationships with students and issuing out discipline. If they're not good at that, but they get promoted. If you've seen that, I want to hear from you in the comment section. Leave a comment or a like. Let's keep, if you can't keep it anonymous, leave a comment or leave a like. Let's keep it anonymous if you want to, because I'm gonna like it as well, because I've seen that. I have definitely seen that. Principals who are just not good at, you wonder, how in the world did you survive in the classroom? I've seen principals who were running away from the classroom because they couldn't handle the classroom leadership portion of it. Run away, get their doctorate, and get far away from the classroom as possible. Okay, so we have Ross Moore's leaving. He's going to be a district administrator. Of course, he's going to make more money. That's how it works. Landis said Moore had requested the change, but some teachers and students did not seem so sure. He's taking the heat now, one teacher said, and it's deserved, but the problem is deeper than that. The school board met Tuesday night before Moore's transfer was announced in a closed personnel session, but Landis said Moore had requested the transfer before that meeting. School board members contacted Wednesday would not say what they had discussed at the meeting. One said the board had solved the problem about which teachers had been complaining. Moore had come under fire from students last fall for his handling of discipline problems at the high school. His duty included enforcing drug, smoking, parking, and attendance rules. Now, that's a tough job. That's a tough job. The principals, they unloaded on him a lot of the things that they just don't. Yeah, those are really tough jobs. Drug, smoking, parking, and attendance rules. That's a tough job. It's a very difficult job, yes, one administrator said. After a while, it gets to you. Some teachers have said Moore was partly responsible for the scheduling problems that have caused several teachers to speak out about what they see as administrative ineptness and low teacher morale at the high school. High school principal Jerry Schroeder said Wednesday he was hesitant to answer questions on the subject of teacher complaints because of his lawyer's advice. And that is really, really good advice. Don't talk. Don't talk to the media. There should be one voice coming. Well, there should be one person quarterbacking, and usually districts, they have someone who's in charge of communications. They're in charge of crafting the message, and the superintendent largely is the one who sends out those official messages to the public. One teacher said the scheduling problem that surfaced last week was not the whole problem. Both teachers and students, he said, had trouble getting along with Moore. So this guy's taking the heat. Teachers don't like the way he handles kids, the teacher said. He doesn't deal with people too well. So we'll stop right there. There's a lot going on in that district. Yeah, so this school was not having, Eureka High School in California, in northwestern California, was not a good time for the teachers, school board administrators, and the public was wondering what in the world was going on. So, and in addition to that, 1977, you've got some serious things going on in the world, as Jimmy Carter is the president at the time. There's shortages going around, inflation. So there's a lot of stuff that people are dealing with. But oh well. Well, that concludes today's edition of Old School. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next day. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you for your time.